It's a very sad thing that the moment people hear Tantra, they think that it is black magic. No. Tantra means practical application. Many people think that Bhakti means, a passive path. It is not so. The greatest Shakti is Bhakti. Jagadamba is Atma Swarupini. Jagadamba is the Shakti Swarupini, who is always residing us, always pushing us, always helping us. She's always with us.
Namaskar everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bṛhat. Bṛhat is a content space that voices deep cultural aspects of a civilization, reflecting fundamental aspects of cultural art and aesthetics. Hari Om Swamiji, it is such an honor to have you with us today. We are in a very special time of the year, Chaitra Navaratri, a period of deep spiritual significance. While many of us celebrate it with great devotion, there is so much more to Navaratri than what the eye meets. And today we have the perfect guide to take us to the deeper essence of Navaratri. Let me have the honor of introducing Swamiji to everybody here. Swami Sharadananda Saraswati Ji is Acharya at Chinmay International Foundation and takes courses on Upanishads, Gita, and other texts. Swamiji was Acharya for the 2-year Vedant course and is currently taking the Vedant Sadhaka course at CIF. Swamiji is a postgraduate in Advaita Vedanta. He ranked first at All India level and was awarded a gold medal from the prestigious Sanskrit University, Rashtriya Sanskrit Samstha. Swamiji, before we dive into the nuances of Navaratri Sadhana, let's begin with the basics. Navaratri is widely celebrated across Bharat, yet there are so many different kinds of Navaratri celebrations. Different kinds of Navaratris are observed at different times of the year. Could you share insights into these different types of Navaratri and their spiritual meaning?
Sure. So we'll start with a prayer and then we will. Sarvamangalamangale Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Hari Om, Namaste. Namaste. Navaratri is a very special time for all of us. Before we enter into the different aspects of Navaratri, first we should know what is the meaning of Navaratri. Generally, we think that Navaratri, we translate it into English. When we translate, then we think that it is 9 nights. That's how generally we think that Navaratri means 9 nights. But then people think about why nights, why not days? Of course, Navaratri is not only celebrated in the night, but day also includes in that. So why then we call it Navaratri? Not why not Navadina? So let us start from that word itself. Nava, one meaning of Nava is 9. The another meaning of Nava is new. A new. Nava also means Navavarsha, means a new year.
Right.
Ratri, the word Ratri comes from a root, Rati in Sanskrit. Rati means to protect. So Ratri also means the protection. So Navaratri means, one meaning of Navaratri is 9 ways of protection or new ways of protection. So Navaratri is not only 9 nights, but actually the other meaning of Navaratri is 9 ways of 9 aspects of protection. So that's why Ratri is not only nights. Ratri also means the principle of protection, which help us to take up our life in a new way, new light, and then progress and be blessed. So Navaratri, so one meaning is of course 9 nights, other meaning is 9 ways of protection. Now when we talk about different kinds of Navaratri, there are 2 kinds of Navaratris. One is known as the Prasiddha Navaratri, another is known as Gudha Navaratri. So generally we are very much aware of 2 Navaratris. One is known as Vasanta Navaratri, another is known as Sharadiya Navaratri. It's very famous, everybody knows it. So that is, those both of them are known as Prasiddha Navaratri. But there are Gudha Navaratris also, hidden Navaratris. Gudha, hidden Navaratris. So for a sadhaka who is in the path of Shakti worship, who worships Paramatma as Jagadamba or Devi, especially for them, these all four Navaratris are very, very important. Okay, so there are two Gudha Navaratri and two Prasiddha Navaratri. Altogether, there are actually four Navaratris in our culture. So when we take 1 year, if you take it in the Gregorian year, the first Navaratri is known as the Magha Navaratri. So this falls in Magha Masa, Pratipada. The first day of the Shukla Paksha of Magha Masa onwards, 9 days are known as Magha Navaratri. In this Magha Navaratri is a Buddha Navaratri, not that everybody worship Jagadamba on these days. Only people who are initiated into the Sri Vidya Sampradaya or those people who are into the deep worship of Jagadamba, they only worship this Navaratri. That's why it's known as Buddha Navaratri. Many people are not even aware of such a Navaratri, which is known as Magha Navaratri. In this Magha Navaratri, we worship Sri Jagadamba as Syama. Syama or Rajamatangi, Syama Matangi. So in Syama, Raja Syamala, different names. So in that form, as Syama or Rajamatangi, we worship Jagadamba in this Buddha Navaratri of the Magha. So that Magha comes in the Shishira Ritu, in the winters. So the Magha Navaratri or Shishira Navaratri or the Rajasyamala Navaratri, Rajamatangi Navaratri. So different names. This is the, if you take the English calendar, this is the first Navaratri comes to us. We start the Navaratri from this. Then comes the Vasanta Navaratri, which is very famous, which is a Prasiddha Navaratri, which comes now in this spring season. And it starts from the Chaitra Shukla Pratipada onwards, which is very famous everywhere. Not only Devi Upasakas, even Rama Upasakas also worship that time. This the Navami is Ram Navami. So this is the day Bhagwan Sri Ramchandra was born. So not only Shakteyas, but the Vaishnavas also take up this Navaratri as the Vasanta Navaratri, because this comes in spring season. So we have the Vasanta Navaratri. In this Vasanta Navaratri is also known as Lalita Navaratri. The Shishira Navaratri is known as Rajamatangi Navaratri or Syama Navaratri. The second one, which is we are about to begin the Navaratri, that is known as the Lalita Navaratri, which comes in the in this Vasanta Rutu from Chaitra Pratipada. 9 days we worship Jagadamba as the Navaratri of the Chaitra Navaratri or Vasanta Navaratri. Now there is a third Navaratri. Third Navaratri is worshipped in Ashadha Masa. Ashadha Masa is the beginning of the rainy season. In South India, it's already heavy rains. In North India, the rain starts by July or so. So Ashadha Navaratri is known as Varsha Navaratri because it comes in the Varsha Kala, in the rainy season that Navaratri comes. That Navaratri is also a Gudha Navaratri. So the Shishira Navaratri and Varsha Navaratri, both them are Gudha Navaratri. Only a very few who are initiated into this Devi Sadhana, etc., worship them. In this, the second Gudha Navaratri, that is the Varsha Navaratri, which is in the Ashadha Masa, Ashadha Shukla Pratipada onwards, 9 days. In that time, we worship Sakshal Varahi, who is the Rajasenani, who is the commander-in-chief of Lilidambika. So that Varahi is worshipped during that time. In the Rajasyamala or Rajamatangi is the minister, head minister of, prime minister of Sri Lilidambika, and the Varahi is the commander-in-chief of Jagadamba. So see, Varahi is worshipped on those 9 days with different kinds of upasanas, which are Gudha Upasana, which are Only we receive it from our guru, who is practicing in this Sri Vidya Upasana and other Upasanas. They only worship that. So it is known as Gudha Navaratri, which comes in the Varsha Rutu, in this Ashadha Masa Shukla Paksha, Pratipada onwards, 9 days. Then comes the most famous Navaratri, which is also known as the Ashadha, also known as the Sharat Navaratri. It comes in Sharat Kala, in the autumn season, so it's known as Sharat Navaratri. That starts from Ashwina Shukla Pratipada. Ashwina Masa Shukla Pratipada onwards, 9 days, we worship Jagadamba. And this Navaratri is very famous. Even those people who are not celebrating the Vasanta Navaratri also, they worship Jagadamba in this. Sharat Kalina Navaratri. In the Devi Mahatmya also, Jagadamba herself points out this Navaratri. So this Navaratri is the most important and most famous Navaratri, known as the Ashwina Navaratri, or Sharadiya Navaratri, where Sakshal Sri Jagadambika is worshipped as Chandika Parameshwari. The Durga Parameshwari or Chandika Parameshwari is worshipped on these 9 days. So like this, there are 4 Navaratris. 2 Navaratris which are Gudha, which are not very famous. 2 Navaratris which are Prasiddha, everybody knows about. Like that, there are 4 Navaratris. Why these 4 Navaratris? You see, our ancestors were great visionaries. Okay, so what they did was they connected one Navaratri with the 4 main seasons. The first one with these actually when it starts from the Vasanta, and then comes the Varsha, then comes the Saradiya Navaratri, then comes the Shishira Navaratri. These are the 4 main seasons. Although there are 2 more, there are 6 seasons in India, but these are the 4 main seasons in India. So these 6 seasons, these 4 seasons, there's a lot of change happens in the nature and also individual body. So in these 4 Navaratris, when we rededicate ourselves, so that help us to control ourselves, to expand ourselves, to have a very healthy life. So if we take from a very physical sense itself, we can see that actually these 4 seasons, lots of sickness comes to people, so many problems comes to people, so many difficulties comes to people. So if we can actually practice these 4 Navaratris, that will help us for the overall development. So in Indian understanding, a person has 5 layers of what you call 5 layers of individuality: a physical individuality, a physiological individuality, a psychic individuality, and intellectual individuality, and spiritual individuality. So in our language, we call it Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. So each one of us, we have these 5 layers of individual aspects, and in these 4 Navaratris, we are focusing on purification of all these 5 levels of individuality, whether it is physical body, whether it is subtle body, whether it is causal body. The cleansing of these 3 bodies, or the 5 layers of our personality, to cleanse it and to bring gunadhana. They say that it adds all guna, all qualities into it, and then lead us to the perfection. So that's why, so think about each and every year, in all these 4 seasons, we rededicate ourselves for the spiritual growth and upliftment, not only in physical level. That's why we have, see, each when we come to that point, we will discuss more about it. But a purification, it try to purify all the layers of our individuality, and then add great values into us, and then and uplift us from the ground level to a higher level of understanding and experience. That's why the 4 seasons, 4 Navaratris, and when we really worship this, take up this upasana, that help us to achieve that perfection in our life. That is the importance of this 4 Navaratris.
Beautiful, Swamiji. This is so fascinating. As in, it is not like Navratri is a cyclic observance of the nature's rhythms. That's what I can gather here.
Yes.
This brings me to something, Swamiji, that I have been very fascinated about, and it's intriguing that Navratri is that time where people worship, people fast with devotion. But beyond the external observances of fasting, it is also considered that inner transformation happens during this time when people are fasting. So, one part of the question, Swamiji, is that what relevance does external fasting have during this specific time on the body, and what is the deeper significance of the fasting and the people observing different rituals during this time for inner transformation for a sadhaka?
So, as we started the discussion in the last for the question itself, so the fasting, and not only fasting, actually, there are how can we connect ourselves with our inner true nature? How can we connect with the Jagadamba? How we can connect with the supreme truth? They say that there are different aspects, different tools which help us to connect with the divinity within. Okay, so those tools are known as sadhana. Different types of sadhanas that help us to reconnect with our true nature. Okay, so these sadhanas are, there are different types of sadhanas, but they are all classified into 4 or 5. One is known as pujanam, second is known as japa, third is known as parayana, fourth is known as chintana, dhyana. So japa, first one is puja, japa, parayana, and chintana. Okay, these are the 4 aspects or 4 tools which help us to reconnect with our own divinity or to connect with the Supreme Bhagavan, the Lord. Now, why this 4? Why then? But generally, we always hear about fasting. But you see, what is the word for fasting in Sanskrit? What do we call that? We say
Upava.
upavasa. Okay. So, what do you mean by upavasa? Upavasa is not just fasting. Upa samipe vasaha vasati. To remain very close. That's the meaning. Upavasa means to remain very close. To close to whom? Close to Bhagavan. Close to our goddess. To close our own self. See, all the 365 days, one of the main concern and thinking is about food. No, morning when we get up itself, we think, oh, what is going to be there for the breakfast? Once the breakfast is over, then we are thinking about lunch. When the lunch is over, then tea. After the tea, then again dinner. So the one of the main part of our mind, we are thinking about food. We are thinking about not only food. The food actually represents all kinds of physical comforts. So, of course, we need food, we need comforts to live. But what happens to us is, instead of, they are tools for our growth, we become slaves to them. The physical comforts, food, and all of them, in order to, they are supposed to give us strength, they are supposed to give us, lead us to a higher level. Instead of that, what happens is we become so much obsessed with these comforts and food and other day-to-day things that we start to forget about the goal. So our acharyas, our ancestors, they thought that at least let us have a few days continuously dedicated for get connected with our true nature. to upavasa. So what do you see? Actually, there are different upavasas. Every month we have Ekadashi, we have Pradosha, we have Amava, days of upavasa. But that's all only just one day. So our ancestors thought that let us have 9 days. Why 9? It's another question. So 9 represents the Purna Sankhya. The 9, the number 9 represents Purna. That is the highest. There is the Purna Sankhya. So let us have a Purna Navaratri. So Navaratri is Purna Ratri, the complete protection. Protection from physical, mental, psychological, and spiritual problems. So when we fast these 9 days, when we control our indriyas, when we control our mind, when we control our thoughts, and then concentrate more on our spiritual growth, these 4 Navaratris, if a person can take up that kind of upavasa. See, upavasa is not only just not eating or eating. Upavasa is to remain very close to our own true nature, very close to the divinity. So when a person is actually ready to take up that kind of a dedicated lives for at least 2 seasons, that brings so much of strength, so much of purity, so much of health. Nowadays, that even the Westerners, even there was a study from a Japanese scientist that when we fast for a few days, what it happens is all the dead cells of our body, those cells which are cancerian, that cells which actually creates problem in our body, are destroyed. They are eaten up by the living cells. So it's kind of a regeneration, our body, our mind, our intellect, everything goes through a period of purification and rejuvenation. So that is the importance of Navaratri fasting. So fasting is not only restricted not to eat or to eat. Actually, fasting means, in our language, it is upavasa, to stay near our true self, to understand, to progress in our spiritual and spiritual growth. Of course, when we are dedicated ourselves, it helps to cleanse our physical body, our subtle body, and even our causal body is also cleansed, gives us strength, gives us clarity, gives us purity, gives us a very grand vision of life. We are able to control our senses, we are able to control our emotions, because if we can, they say, yogasya pradhamam dwaram vangnirodho aparigraha. If we can control our tongue, that itself is a great growth in spiritual life. So all of these aspects is included in the fasting. So fasting is not only just not eating, but these are the days we should dedicate ourselves to the divine consciousness, which is deep within us.
Right, right, Swamiji. So this is by putting into perspective the meaning, the true meaning of why people fast, and rather it means upavas. You've made it more meaningful. Uh, Swamiji, now speaking of 9 days that you mentioned, 9 means Purnam. We see that the general understanding of Navratri and how the 9 days are divided is that the first 3 days are dedicated to Ma Durga, the Shakti, strength. The next 3 days are dedicated to Lakshmi, prosperity, and the final 3 days we dedicate to Saraswati, wisdom. That is the general understanding. How is this structured progression mirror into the spiritual journey of a seeker at both an individual level and at a civilizational context?
So there are 2 ways of looking at it. Each day is also dedicated to different devatas that we may come in later. And also, as you said, that the days are dedicated into three sets of three days. See, and in different parts of India, this is worshipped differently. Okay, so in some part of India, the first 3 days are dedicated to Durga, and second 3 parts are dedicated to Lakshmi. The last 3 parts are dedicated to Saraswati. Okay, so in South, etc., we have Saraswati Puja on the Vijayadashami, etc., on that last 3 days. Some parts it is first 3 days are Saraswati, and then that is because how we look at it. See, if you this entire aspect of this 3 days is Durga Saptasati. So Durga Saptasati is divided into 3 parts. Durga Saptasati is Devi Mahatmya, Durga Saptasati, Chandi Pada. We have different names in India, but the same text, which is a part of the Markandeya Purana. So there are 13 chapters in Durga Saptasati, which is divided into 3 parts. Prathama Charita, Madhyama Charita, and Uttara Charita or Uttama Charita. Okay. So the Prathama Charita, the Devata of Prathama Charita is Mahakalika. Madhyama Charita's Devata is Mahalakshmi, and Uttara Charita's Devata is Sri Mahasaraswati. So those people who worship Jagadamba in this order. So first 3 days they worship Durga Parameshwari. Second 3 days they worship Mahalakshmi. And the third 3 days they worship Sri Mahasaraswati. This Mahasaraswati is not the Veena Panini, Shumbhadi Shumbhamardini, the most powerful goddess. Okay. Now, what do you mean by? Let me first explain this, and then I will come to the other aspect. What do you mean by these 3 aspects? Mahakalika, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. See, when we read the Devi Mahatmya, we see that the first thing, all of us are bound by 3 Grandhis: Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, and Rudra Grandhi. Okay? Mulika Nilaya, Brahma Grandhi Vibhetini, Manipurandharudida, Vishnu Grandhi Vibhetini, Ajna Chakrandaralastha, Rudra Grandhi Vibhetini. So 3 Grandhis are there. We are all bound. We are Pashu in the language of the Tantra. Pashu. Pashu means what? Those people who are living only in the sensual level, who are bound. Pashyati iti Pashu. The one who lives in this, who thinks that whatever we see alone is the truth. Such people are known as Pashu. Now, we are bound by 3 Grandhis. The first Grandhi is known as Brahma Grandhi. What is Brahma Grandhi? Brahma Grandhi means our Raga and Dvesha, our likes and dislikes. So if you read the Devi Mahatmya, in Prathama Charita, what happens is, in Prathama Charita, Jagadamba helps or blesses Vishnu, and Vishnu kills Madhu and Sudana, Madhu and Kaitabha. So Madhu and Kaitabha represents Raga and Dvesha. So that's the first Grandhi. That's how we are all tied to this world. So when we do the worship of Mahakalika in the 3 days, we are breaking, or we are praying Jagadamba to break the first Grandhi, which is Raga and Dvesha. Then when we proceed, so Raga Dvesha represents Mala, impurities of our heart. Then when we proceed, then comes Vikshepa, all distractions. The mind is full of distractions. We are not able to concentrate on anything. Why? Because that is the nature of the mind. So Vikshepa is the second problem which all of us face in our life. So that is indicated as the Mahishasura. See, what does Mahishasura do? Mahishasura takes different forms. Once he comes as a bull, as a buffalo. Then he comes as a elephant. Then as a simha, as a lion, as a human. Different forms it takes. Like that, our mind also continuously takes different forms, and because of that, we are not able to concentrate. The second problem of our life, the second way how we are all tied to this universe, to this prapancha, is with the Vishnu Grandhi. So that's why Vishnu's Patni or Vishnu's Shakti is Lakshmi. So the Madhya Charita, the second core part of Durga Saptasati, is dedicated to Lakshmi. This Lakshmi is not the one who gives us wealth, etc. Of course, yes. What kind of wealth? If we want to come out of these distractions, we should be blessed with inner wealth. What is the inner wealth? Which is known as Daivi Sambhati. When we studied Bhagavad Gita, the 16th chapter gives us some 24, Abhayam Sattva Samsuddhihi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, which enumerates Daivi Sambhati, that is Mahalakshmi. So, in Madhyama Charita, we are referred as Mahishasura Mardini. But the Adhisthana Devata of Madhyama Charita is Mahalakshmi, means the one who blesses us with all the divine qualities and leads us forward. So that is the Madhyama Charita. That's why we worship Mahalakshmi in the second set of 3 days. 3 plus 3. And then comes the last 3 days, which is the Uttara Charita or Uttama Charita of Devi Mahatmya, where, the great war happens. So the great war with many, many asuras ends up with Shumbha and Nishubha. Who are this Shumbha and Nishubha? What is the real war? The real war is with our Ahankara and Mamakara. Aham, our ego, I-ness, and Mamakara, minus. Mine, mera, tera, mera, tera. So, these are the two greatest demons which resides deep within us. So, Shumbha and Nishubha, who represents Shumbha represents Ahankara and Nishubha represents Mamakara. If you read the Devi Mahatmya, you will see that when Bhagavati is killing Nishubha, so Nishubha is fallen, again another form comes out of him. Because there are two kinds of mama, mine. One, my body, my intellect, my thoughts, my words, which is collected to this, and then my car, my house, my wife, my husband, my children, which is outside. That's why Nishubha is of two kinds. Mind, related to our body, mind, and intellect, and mind of this external matter. So beautifully, you see. So the last 3 days, which is the highest, the difficult days, where we fight with the Mamakara and Ahankara with the help of Sri Mahasaraswati. So that's why 9 days we complete the war, and the 10th day, Vijayadashami. We are victorious. We could, with the help of her, we break open, we destroy all the three granthis, and then we understand our true nature deep within us. So that is the Vijaya, that is the real victory. So this is one, Durga's, Lakshmi and Saraswati. Now in North, what they do the other way. They start with Saraswati, because without knowledge, how can we proceed? So that's why we start the Navaratri. First 3 days are dedicated for Sri Jagadamba, Sri Mahasaraswati, so that we invoke Jnana Shakti in us. So Jnana Shakti is represented by the Saraswati, and then the second 3 days are we invoke the Ichcha Shakti, the desire to come out of all the bondages, and the last 3 days Kriya Shakti. Jnana Shakti, Ichcha Shakti, Kriya Shakti Swarupini. So Jagadamba is worshipped as Durga Parameshwari. Kriya. See, we have knowledge, we have desire, but until and unless we put it into practice, it is impossible for us to progress in spiritual life. That's why we use the Kriya Shakti, Kriya as the last 3 days as Durga Parameshwari. So in whichever way we worship, it's okay. But this is the theory behind these kinds of 3 days of three sets of 3 days worship of, whether it is Saraswati, Lakshmi, or Durga Lakshmi, or Saraswati. How we do, but whichever way, we will be victorious on the 10th day. So that is the important thing. So 2 types of worship, but the same.
Absolutely, Swamiji. This really puts everything into perspective. And both the parts, in fact, are very, very practical.
Yes.
Now, coming to something very profound that we were just in the conversation, we touched upon it, the 9 forms of Devi, from Shailaputri to Siddhidatri. Many of us worship these, and there are, in fact, colors associated with them, or rather, the Devi associated with different actions of our life and virtues also. But I've also heard that they symbolize different stages of evolution in a seeker's journey. So, could you take us through the journey and explain how each form represents a step in the spiritual awakening?
Okay. This is something to be known by our the gurus, but now of course all of us who are is listening, they are all Bhagwan's mothers, mother's children. So of course we are all together. So they say that this 9 days, 9 forms of Jagadamba is worshipped. So first day we worship Jagadamba as the Shailaputri. Second day as Brahmacharini. Third day as Chandraganda. Fourth day as Kushmanda. Fifth day as Skandamata. Seventh day as Katyayani. Then Kalaratri. Then Mahagaudi. The ninth day as Siddhidatri. So these are the 9 forms of Jagadamba worshipped in 9 days. What is the secret behind it? See, if you really look at that, we understand that these are the 9 stages of a woman's life. See, the beauty of our Sanatana Dharma, which is actually makes us very unique, is the position of women in our culture. See, in between there was times because of the maybe because of the attacks on Bharatavarsha, maybe because of many reasons. We also could not. We are also been back little back behind about all this. But if we really look at our Vedic period, this is the land where Brahmavadinis were there. Like how the rishis are there, there are richikas. Great people, great women who saw the mantras in the Sabha of Janaka. There is great Brahmavadinis who are Gargi like them, who are able to even argue with Yajnavalkya. Such great Brahmavadinis were there. In the Yajnavalkya's Patni herself, such a great Brahmavadinis, and so such a tremendous, such a high kind of vision of ladies, women were there in India. Devi Mahatmya very clearly says, Striya samasta sakala jagatsu. See, Jagadambika is whichever form of women are there in this world, they are all manifestation of Jagadamba herself. So especially the part of Tantra. Tantra, nowadays, it's a very sad thing that the moment people hear Tantra, they think that it is black magic. No. Tantra means practical application. The meaning of Tantra is practical application. So that's why we say the physics is known as Urja Tantra. The chemistry is known as Rasa Tantra, because Tantra doesn't mean black magic or anything. Tantra means practical application of the theories. So in the Tantric tradition, the Jagadamba, the Ishvara, Paramatma, is worshipped as woman. That's the difference between the Vaidika and the Tantrika schools, where the Paramatma is seen as woman. That is very unique to our culture. So in this, what happens is, these 9 days are worshipped as the 9 stages of a woman's life. First one, as a Shailaputri, as the daughter of Himalaya, very cute, very beautiful child. Then comes Brahmacharini, the stage of a woman as a student who studies the Shastras, who studies and then understand the life. The third one is known as Chandraganda. Chandraganda means the day she marries to Sri Bhagavan. So this Chandra represents Shiva. Chandraganda means she becomes Ardhangini of Sri Parameshwara. She becomes married to Sri Parameshwara. So the stage of marriage is shown in the third day. The fourth day is known as Kushmanda. Kushmanda means whose womb the entire universe is there. A stage of pregnancy. See, you can actually see the stages of a woman's life so clear. So after the marriage and then the stage of pregnancy is represented as the Kushmanda. So that's Devi is not only just pregnant with the baby, she's pregnant with this universe, Kushmanda. Then comes the next day, we worship as Skandamata. Skandamata, the mother of Skanda. See, from the pregnancy to a motherhood. Now comes the Katyayani. A age where a woman is 35, 40, which she's at her best time, she very matured, and so that is known as Katyayani. And then comes the Kalaratri, the time of menopause, where a lot of changes happens in the woman, and which is in a way it's very Kalaratri, it's very a terrible time, Kalaratri. Then comes after that period is over, then she becomes Mahagauri, the one who shines forth. No, she is beyond the body. The body has no more control over her. She becomes like a full-fledged person. And then comes the Siddhidhatri, the one who is ready to bless this on all universe as a grandmother, who can understand, who can accept everyone, who can bless anyone, who can, take each and every one of us to a higher level. So, you see, really we can see the 9 stages of woman's life in this 9 days of worship of Jagadamba. So, Jagadamba is worshipped as as the as the woman. That's why we on the 9th day we do the Kanya Puja, we do the Sumangali Puja, because Devi is not only in that Mrunmaya Murti. Devi is present in each and every woman. So when we recognize this and then worship the 9 stages of womanhood, that brings a different kind of understanding, that bring a different kinds of awakening in all of us. So these are the 9 days. In this, okay. Now, what do you mean by worshipping these 9 forms of womanhood? What do you mean by cherishing these 9 aspects of womanhood? These 9 aspects of womanhood actually represent 9 values of life. So the first thing, if we really want to progress in our spiritual, not only spiritual, whether it is material, whether it is spiritual, if we really want to have a happy life, first thing we should be like Shailaputri. Now, the purity of mind, the childlike life, not childish. There's a lot of difference between childish and childlike purity of heart. So we start our growth, our life, our spiritual, pilgrimage by developing purity of heart. That's the most important thing, without which no spiritual life is possible. So we start with purity of heart. When we worship Shailaputri, this is what we pray to Jagadamba. Oh, Mother, please bless us with this purity. Then comes the second day. Just purity is not enough. We should have right knowledge. So, Brahmacharini. This here, Brahma, not only Brahmacharya, people think about the celibacy, but Brahma also means Veda. So when you say brahmachari, it is not only celibate. Brahmachari means a person who dedicates his life to study Brahma. Brahma means Veda. So we have purity of mind. That's not enough. We should have brahmacharitvam, the study of the scriptures. So that's what we develop in the second stage of our Navaratri Anushtana, second day of Navaratri, to gain knowledge, the right knowledge, the proper knowledge. So brahmacharya. Now we have purity, we have knowledge. That is not enough. We should put it into practice. Until the knowledge is put into practice, until we embrace the world, until we are ready to be part of the universe, the growth is not possible. That's why we are married to the Shiva. We are married to this world. We are married to the consciousness. So application of the knowledge is known as the third stage, which is known as Kriya. So, Shuddhi, Jnana, Kriya. Purity, knowledge, and application. Now, how this application is with unity, not to divide. Most of the bad thing is, as the people are learned, they start to divide. But this knowledge is not to divide, but this knowledge is to unite. That's why Chandrakhanda, to become one with Shiva. So that is the next stage. After that Kriya comes the Kushmanda, which is Swikriti, acceptance. We accept the world as it is. We accept good and bad. We accept the all that whatever is there in our life to offer. See, why so much of nowadays we are everyone is so much of stress, so much of strain, so much of problem, so much of peacelessness. We are shattered. Why? Because we are not able to accept the world. We are not able to accept our life. So when we have the right purity, the right knowledge, and then application, that help us to accept who I am. I am what I am. You are you who you are. The world is what the world is. When we start to accept it with the understanding of unity with the Ishvara, that is the next stage, next step of our evolution. Once that happens, then comes this Kandamata, the motherly compassion, compassion, affection, prema, karunya. This all start to manifest in our heart. The life becomes so beautiful because we love Bhagavan. We love everyone. Then we see the Lord in each and every being, and we start to love. Sattosmin parama prema rupa. That parama prema, that absolute prema, as that is the stage, the next stage of Skandamata. So it's like the step evolution of a jiva. When that happens, we start to see this love is only possible when I accept you as you are. Without this Swikriti, without the acceptance, love and affection is not possible. Why nowadays so much of the relationships are breaking? Why? Because people are not ready to accept the other one as he is or she is. The entire relationships are based on assumptions or lust. We do not see who he is. We think that this is the person, but then after some time we understand this is not what I thought. We are not able to accept him because there is no acceptance. Love or an affection is not possible. So the spiritual growth helps us to reach that position, which acceptance helps us gives us the strength to love, to cherish, to have affection, prema and karunya. When we reach that, then comes the next stage of Katyayani, where a maturity comes to the person. The Katyayani, the stage represents the Katyayani. The sixth step is Katyayani, a maturity, physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual maturity. To see things as they are, to accept as they are, to react in the most mature way, to grow mature. So that maturity, that is known as the what we call as pakwata. We become pakwa. We are ready for that growth, that maturity, that pakwata comes on the sixth day of the Katyayani stage. Then comes the seventh day, where Kalaratri. See, once we start to walk the path of spirituality, not only spirituality, if we walk the path of dharma, we'll see that lot of negativity starts to manifest deep within us. When you are just a person, not a, we take life as it comes, it's okay. But the moment we start to do spiritual practices or dharmic practices, we see that lot of negativity starts to manifest. See, that's the story of Samudra Matana. So when the Devatas and Asuras were churning the ocean, what came first? It was Kalakuta. The poison came first. That's also when we churn our mind, what is going to appear first is Kalakuta. So that's why Kala Ratri. Why? Because we need a different kinds of strength, a different kinds of power to digest our own negativities. So the negativities of the world and the negativities of our own self, which starts to manifest because of our prarabdha karma, purva karma, all the negativities which are stored deep within us start to manifest. And we need great strength. We need great power to synthesize them, to digest them, to turn them to the right direction. So that's why the next stage is known as Kalaratri. Once we digest it, once we overcome all those negativities deep within us, then comes the day of Mahagauri. We start to shine. Gauridan. No, we start to shine like gold. Once we face the inner demon and then conquer all the negativities deep within us and the negativities of the world, then comes the Mahagauri. We are we reach a stage where the equilibrium, that the stage of equanimity, equilibrium comes to us. So Mahagauri represents that power. Samatvam yoga uchyate, where the equilibrium comes to our life. Once the equilibrium comes, then comes Siddhidatri, the one who gives the Siddhi. What is the Siddhi? Ekata, oneness. Oneness with the Supreme, oneness with the entire universe. We understand that there's only one and the same truth, only one truth is there. That truth is my own self. That is Siddhi. To see the oneness, to see the connection, to enjoy the the highest truth deep within ourselves. That is the day of the ninth day of the Siddhidatri. See how beautifully our ancestors have given us such a great sadhana from Shuddhi, from purity to moksha, from purity to the Siddhi, from purity to the fulfillment of life. So these 9 days, each these devatas represents these 9 aspects of life which help us to progress and then achieve the goal of life.
Absolutely, Swamiji. It is almost as if Devi herself is guiding the seeker step by step, leading them to ultimate realization. Um, Now, Swamiji, there is something that most people are confused with. It is about Shakti and Bhakti. People consider these two as different paths and sometimes misunderstand that surrender is passivity. But in reality, surrender is deeply empowering. So, how does Devi reconcile the two, Shakti and Bhakti? How does one balance the strength and surrender in spiritual practices?
Yeah. See, uh, first thing is, as we know that Shakti and Bhakti both are feminine words, whether it is Hindi, whether it is Sanskrit. Shakti also, Bhakti also, both are feminine. And many people think that Bhakti means, a passive path. It is not so. The greatest Shakti is Bhakti. The greatest Shakti, the greatest power is Bhakti. What is that bhakti? As was telling, Satvasmin Parama Prema Rupa. That divine love is the greatest strength. When that divine love touches us, there is nothing in this universe which we cannot do. The bhakti is that which pushes us to the supreme. The bhakti is that which blesses us with the real strength. You ask any Mahatmas, any great Mahatmas of this world who has done such wonderful activities, you will see that this power comes from bhakti. Any Mahatmas we take, the deep devotion to the truth, that is that which brings Shakti. So, Shakti and Bhakti are not opposite to each other. The pure devotion is not a passive thing, that is the highest form of our dedication. Now, when we are ready to offer all our actions as the worship of Lord, and we are always trying to remain in the divine presence, when we always try to find the divinity within and without, when we really try to match ourselves, tune ourselves with the supreme consciousness, that is bhakti, that is Shakti. So bhakti and Shakti, people think, because sometimes they don't think it in deep, but they are not two. They're actually the two sides of the same coin. And Sri Jagadamba represents bhakti and Shakti. So as Sri Radharani, she represents as the bhakti. As Durga Parameshwari, she represents the Shakti. Are they different? No. See, that's why when we read Bhagavad, we see that uh, when Sri Krishna was born in the cellar of Madura, Sri Maha Durga, she was born as the daughter of Nandagopa. They were shifted to each other, and then Kamsa was trying to kill this Durga, and she rises and says that your Antaka has already born. See, this is indicating one thing. And the beginning of our spiritual life is with Shakti. When you take Krishna as Ishvara, the Ishvara comes to our lives through Shakti, through our, through our individual functions. We try what we generally call as Purusha Prayatna. Okay, self, activities. We do things. We're doing this. That is there. But that spiritual evolution starts with Shakti, it ends with Radha. The one stage of Bhagavan Sri Krishna's life starts with the birth of Durga, ends with the Ramana, it ends with the Rasakrida, where the Radha appears, which is the Parama Prema. So, Bhakti, the Shakti takes us to Bhakti, and Bhakti fulfills the Shakti. So they are not two different things, they are one and the same. They're the two sides of the same coin.
Absolutely, Swamiji. That is such an important clarification because people generally perceive surrender as weakness, and but it is rather it's about complete trust and alignment to the divine, surrendering yourself totally. Brings me to
Right.
another crucial insight, Swamiji. In the Bharatiya thought, Shakti is not just an external deity to be worshipped, um, but it is the very essence of existence. How can seekers cultivate an experiential understanding of Shakti as a living force in their daily lives and beyond the rituals and prayers? How can they perceive her as a living force?
See, let us start with so you are talking about the sadhana. Okay, so what is the sadhana for us to realize, experience this divine truth within us? See, I like to call it divine truth, then we want to call it divine power, whichever. Everything is same. So how can we do this? Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, Pujanam Japaha Chintanam Krama. How can we develop, how can we grow in spirituality? It starts with pujanam. We worship Jagadamba. In when we want to worship her, we need our body, we need our speech, we need our mind. These are the three karanas. These are three equipments of us. So, like when we started our learning the cycle, we always had a third wheel. When we are small babies, we had a third wheel. So, all these three, the body, the mind, and the speech together, is puja. So, we should start our spiritual growth from puja. Along with puja comes japa. In japa, the body is not important, the speech and the mind are important. So, when we do puja, along with the puja, we start to do japa of Jagadamba, Nama. Okay. Then comes, as the part of japa itself, comes the Parayana. So, in the tradition of our Shakti worship, we study the Durga Saptasati, we study Devi Bhagavata, we study Saundarya Lahari. So many texts are there. We do the Parayanam of that. The Parayana also brings lots of, stability to us. It gives a training for our mind to sit and to practice. And then slowly, so first body, speech, and the mind. Slowly we come to the level when the Parayana and Japa, speech, and the mind. Then we come to the stage of Chintanam. No, contemplation, meditation on what we have read, what we have understood, and into that slowly our mind starts to dive deep into our own true consciousness, try to understand the deeper meanings of life, and we start to enjoy the fullness of life. So, so what should we do other than japa and to be conscious of the truth? So, chindanam, meditation. Meditation is not only, nowadays everybody like to meditate, they sit in a posture, etc. That is not meditation. What is meditation? What is dhyana? Dhyana is to dive deep into our own consciousness. No, to ekatanata. Kristale manaswasthata. Sri Ramana Maharshi says, what is the dhyana you are talking about? Kristale manaswasthata. When our mind abides in our krit, in our consciousness, in our heart, that is known as the real meditation. So, what can we do when we are in this life? When we are in this, of course, if we can develop these three, a simple puja, a remembrance of Jagadamba's Nama, and we start to read the greatness and tattva, the knowledge and the leelas and tattva and the greatness and the understanding of Jagadamba through the study of the scriptures. Along with that, slowly we dive deep into our own consciousness and try to understand the truth, to the applied understanding of Jagadamba. Understanding that this entire, so there's a beautiful portion in Devi Atharva Shirsha. There, the Devatas ask him, "Oh Devi, who are you? Kasitvam." Then he say, "Aham Brahmaswarupini." Now, Matta Prakriti Purushatmakam Jagat. This entire universe is the manifestation of Jagadamba. So, what is that which actually takes us forward in this in the spiritual path is to develop this consciousness of divinity deep within us and in this world. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam Sarvabhutani cha Atmani. When we start to feel the divine presence of Jagadamba deep within our own self as ourselves, and we start to see her presence in this entire universe, that leads us to the highest experiences of fulfillment of life, that takes us to the supreme truth.
Right, Swamiji. Very beautifully put. I really think that this will help people. They'll feel encouraged to bring to life these practices wherever they are. So, Swamiji, before we conclude for today, I want to ask you one final but very, very important question. If there is one core teaching from Navratri that a seeker should carry forward, not just for these 9 nights or new nights, but as a way of life, what would that be?
That is a Upanishadic statement. Abhihi, abhihi, amritatva. Abhihi, never get frightened. Abhihi, never get frightened. Why? Because you are the incarnation of immortality. You are immortal in nature. There is nothing to be worried. There is nothing to be afraid. Stand up. Uttishthata. Jagrata. Prapyavaran nibodhata. Get up. Stand up. Understand. And apply in your life. Because Jagadamba is Shakti Swarupini. Now, she is the Jnana Swarupini. Ichajnana Kriya Shakti Swarupini. So let us, she is our mother. She's our true nature. Develop that Icha for higher things. Jnana, the right understanding. Not only Icha and Jnana, but application of great values in our life. Let us all become great leaders, not only just servants or slaves. Let us come out of all our limitations, because Jagadamba is Atma Swarupini. Jagadamba is the Shakti Swarupini, who is always residing us, always pushing us, always helping us. She's always with us. Never ever have a doubt that Sri Jagadamba, whoever may go away, whoever may give us up, but Sri Jagadamba, our Atma Swarupini, Ichajnana Kriya Shakti Swarupini, Sakshal, Sri Lalita Mahatma Sundari, Sri Jagadamba, Rajarajeshwari, Durga Parameshwari is always with us. Why worry? Why to doubt? Have the faith. Take responsibilities in our hand. March forward without any doubt. Have a pure life. Lead a dharmic life. Whoever may try to influence us, be careful that we never ever deviate from the path of dharma and take up great responsibilities. This is a very important time for us. The India is waking up. India is entering into the yuga of Vishwaguru, and it is our duty to live the best life, to show the entire world the light of the Arsha Vidya, the light of divine wisdom deep within. It is our duty. We must. May Jagadamba's grace and blessings give us that strength, clarity, wisdom, pure love, dedication, so that we shall take up great things in our life, change our life, change the life of our family, change the life of our community, take our nation, our Rashtra, into its own original state of Vishwaguru. May Jagadamba's grace and blessings be ever with all of us.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. That's truly a thought to reflect on. I can't thank you enough for your time and wisdom today. This conversation has been an eye opener, and I'm sure it will help a lot of people deepen their Navaratri sadhana. Thank you once again, Swamiji, and thank you to all our listeners. May Devi's grace illuminate our path this Navaratri and beyond. Hari Om.
Thank you. We'll conclude with the mantra.
Yes.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. May Jagadamba's grace and blessings be with all of us. May the Navaratri become a great spiritual experience for one and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. Hari Om.